Most people don't realize they're vulnerable until they're called into that one meeting. The question is, are you developing skills that's only good for that one company? Or are you developing a career that you could take anywhere?
What's going on, beautiful people? Welcome to another episode of Beyond the Grind.
BTG.
If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. And please do not forget to hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any of our future content. Our podcast is for the doers and the dreamers who are ready to take their lessons and turn them into actions. My name is Kay.
I'm Alan.
And I'm Tosin. And lately, we've been hearing, not just lately, actually, over the last few years, we've been hearing a lot about these layoffs that are going on and so on and so forth, whether it's government, whether it's
AI,
large companies, whether it's mid-sized or small companies and startups, whether it's AI that's taking our jobs, whether it's automation in one form or factor that's taking our jobs. I think we need to take some time and just talk to our viewers out there and maybe just add a little bit of tips and tricks because for those that may not be currently laid off, it may be something that is creating some anxiety, in whatever they're doing. And for those that are also laid off, there could be some tips and tricks that they can learn as they are, I'm sure, working hard to making sure that they bounce back.
Yeah.
All right. So I want to know who's been fired here before, because I can start with myself.
I mean, I've been fired. Actually, when I think about it, I've actually only been fired twice, and both of the time when I got fired, I didn't expect it because I thought that.
I mean,
I thought that I was.
Do most people expect it?
No, some people
really.
Yeah, some people expect it.
Mine came out of left field.
No,
it came out of left.
I got an example for you. I remember I was brought into this company to help them manage some service modernization. They had some transformational projects that they wanted to work on, and so they wanted me to lead that effort. And because, leadership wanted to, make some more money, cut down on costs, they wanted to do some restructuring. I'm like, okay, let's see where this is heading. I'm thinking there's no way that they're going to cut me because I'm working on 3 projects that it is so pivotal to their success. And to their revenue, that there's no way that they were going to cut me. It got so bad that I remember people around me, they were essentially panicking. And I'm hosting group sessions like, don't worry, man, everything is going to be okay. Guys, don't worry, we're going to be all right. Even my manager made a joke, said that, we know that Kay is definitely safe because of all the stuff that he's working on. And they literally said, we're going to send you guys a link. It's either you're going to get a link that says, hey, we want to appreciate you, but you're safe. This is the direction in which we're going to. And then we're going to have another video that's going to say, hey, we want to thank you for your service. You're no longer needed.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
And
this is a large corporation.
I'm talking Fortune 500 type of company.
Wow.
So all of a sudden I got the email, clicked on it. And I said, all I saw was, hey, we want to thank you for your service. I say, wait, what? I'm like, maybe I need to clear my ears.
Refresh.
And I'm looking at it.
They sent you the wrong email, huh?
The people that I was consoling, they're like dropping in the email, oh my gosh, guys, thank God I'm safe. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not safe. It looks like I just got let go. And everybody started laughing because they thought, oh, you're definitely joking. I'm like, no, I'm serious. And then come to find out that when leadership are making decisions, they have no visibility or context around specifically
that level.
What you're doing. They're just thinking about one thing and one thing only. How do we cut costs?
Yeah.
And boom, they just make decisions.
Yeah.
And that's when I knew that nobody is safe, no matter what company you work at.
Wow. I remember when you were telling me that, the thought that came to my head is, a lot of times we what did we call it? Intrapreneurs, right? We call them intrapreneurs.
Yes.
And an intrapreneur is someone that operates like an entrepreneur within a large organization, though they are employees, right? And for those that are intrapreneurs, we're telling them, hey, you've got to build value, make yourself visible, make yourself indisposable to these large corporations. But now what you're saying is that even after you do all of that, at some levels of decision making, they may not see that value that you bring, huh?
Yes and no. So yes, from the standpoint that if a business decision needs to be made, it doesn't matter what type of value you're bringing to the table. They're going to make the decision that is best for their company.
I'll give you an example.
No, from the standpoint that if it's not about cutting costs, if it's not a business decision, if it's more of a, value, like, are you actually adding value to the team? Yes, that comes into play, right? So if you're building the necessary relationships, you're adding value, you're being proactive, in making sure that you're delivering value. I don't want to use the word safe, but you're more likely to, get favor within the team around you versus if they just have to make a very tough business decision.
I think a good example of that is, that no one is safe is, as a Mavs fan, they just shipped off Luka. You not safe, bro. If Luka is safe, you ain't safe. Remember that, y'all. If Luka is not safe, the whole NBA.
Who's Luka?
He's a basketball player for the Dallas Mavericks. Was. Sorry. And he was a basketball player for the Mavericks.
And what happened?
They shipped him off to the Lakers.
Why?
Who knows?
It was a business decision.
Exactly. And you see KD and Kevin Durant and all the rest of people in the league like, wow.
Yeah.
No one is safe, bro. Like, you ship your franchise, your franchise player, one of the best players in the league at the time. So if this ties back to when you said, who knows they're going to get let go. He didn't know. Nobody knew.
No.
I have an experience too where I did my one time I got let go ever. Ever. I knew I was going to let go.
What happened?
So I'm going to try to like tell this story briefly without giving up too much details, right? Because some of the leaders of the company I'm still
good friends with.
Friendly with. No, we're still friends. I still keep it frenemies because it came full circle, right? So we got recruited to work somewhere. We were doing surgery, all for surgery, full implant rehab surgery, and I was doing the surgery, and the person wasn't like just had a twitch. There wasn't like deep general anesthesia. They were sedated, but they were just like twitching. I like put them in deeper. So replacing the one, I think maybe like one or the last implants, and they moved, and the little attachment instrument got stuck in there. And we had already made sure they were sedated. They moved a little bit. I was like, oh, she's really like resistant to this. And I was like, oh, the instrument's stuck in there. I don't want to like mess with it too much. So, I take part of the instrument out and the implant's a little bit further. I needed a longer one. I can see it in the mouth, completely visible, all that stuff, just far. And you don't want to just go try and grab it and push it further, right? So he's like, hey, one of our partners, he's a specialist. He does this type of thing. I was like, oh, great. He'll have this instrument that we're able to get it done quickly. I could have just made an incision on, like on the side of it's on the upper, on the side by the sinus and retrieved it. But I was like, I don't want to create that defect if he could just grab it. And plus he's got more letters behind his name. So it always is favorable when someone with more letters behind their name is the one. And you showed what a competent person in your situation would do. So I was like, okay, yeah, of course, like he's one of the partners, and the partner comes in and he's like very bravado and stick with me, you can learn a lot, yada yada yada, all that stuff. And I'm like, yes, okay, thank you. So
you know who I am.
Yeah, right. Sorry, not like that, but anyway, he goes in there a little bit more aggressive than I would be. And in my head the whole time thinking, don't push this further in. Like, where's this instrument that I asked him for? And he was like, oh, I don't have it. And let me see. He goes in there, tries to retrieve it, and can't retrieve it. And then he gets on the phone, calls another person with more letters behind there. He's like, do you have this instrument? They're like, no, we're in the OR right now. Like, and I was like, in my head, I'm like, what's the point for me calling you? Goes back in there, shoves it from their oral cavity past their sinus into their nasal, like somewhere like in between the nasal floor. And
Ouch.
It's basically, we can't see it on it. We used to see it on the x-ray completely. Now we can't see it. So now we're scared that there's an aspiration risk in what we're going to do. So then I have to walk him into I have to go take him to the imaging center. Mm-hmm. So now it turns from like just, a small trauma that we could have just grafted and being fine to this whole big blown out situation. I'm going to walk them to get the chest X. And he turns and says to me, man, you really messed this up. And I said, what? I could see it. If, I just try to be very calm about it. I took him in chest X. Somehow, miraculously, instead of like it being an aspiration risk, they ended up swallowing it. So it's just going to pass and they're going to excrete it like normal. And they're like, hey, like, well, you're lucky. You're lucky. And I was like, I talked to the one of the other owners who I was closer to. And I was like, why'd you make me call him again? I could have done what he was going to do. Mm-hmm. If he couldn't grab it, why didn't he just make a little window? That's what I would have done, Like, I'm like, I've never seen anyone be that aggressive. Like, literally, I called you to not do that. Mm-hmm. And you did everything the opposite of what anything would happen. But he was like, he called me later on, and he was like, hey, I'm sorry, we're going to have to let you go because X, Y, and Z, and he's a partner and this, that, and that, and that. And I was like, you were there. I didn't do that. Like, and I was like, you know what? I understand it's a business decision. But in my head, I was like, this is a cover up. Mm. And then, fast forward maybe a year or two later, I was like, hey, what happened with such and such? How's it going? Oh yeah. We had to part ways with him. I was like, why? It was like, remember that one time you had this? Another patient came in at the same time, and there was something placed and it was pushed near the nerve. They were like, Charles did that. And the owner I know was like, one of the people were like, no, Charles didn't see them. That was this person. And the person that it was, he told her, like, whoever places put it too close. It was him. It was him. He was calling. And he goes in real quick, removes it real quick, and acts like nothing. And he was telling me they had a couple of situations like that afterwards. And he like apologized to me because he was like, yeah, it was just, we have to stick with our partner, at that point. And you weren't a partner either. And this, that, and that. And I was like, I knew what it was. It was a cover up. Like, be for real. And I'm like, that's the one time that I know. And I was the ace. Well, I was like their ace.
At least you had visibility.
Yeah, I was his guy. And so at that point, I was like, y'all gonna let go of me? And I literally have a clean streak. And this person has this record. That's when I knew, like, oh yeah, like
anybody can
get let go, even if you're great and you did everything that you're supposed to do, didn't do anything and whatnot. And it's a business decision because now they're protecting a partnership, right? Because he feels a certain type of way, which, to kind of bring back this full circle is, even if things don't work out in the moment, you can only, what I took away from that is I learned a lot in that position. And I took it to other positions, did cosmetic, did a lot of surgery, did other stuff. So I was able to, like, next day be in another position. No joke. Like,
I mean, you're medical. Everybody always needs y'all.
No, but like in the same, actually in a better position, to be honest. At times. So what I learned was you can bounce back, and that no matter how great you are, people are still going to protect their interests over you in the business setting. So anyone can get let go. The question is, what did you learn during that process to not repeat it? One, because sometimes it isn't your fault, but you could be let go today. Are you prepared? Are you prepared, or are you just sad like, oh, I don't know what to do, you know? So that's all I have to say.
So for me, when I got laid off, this was back in 2009, and it was my first big job.
Big boy job.
Man, it was my first big boy job. Put a few coins in the bank, you know, type of job. So I was excited for this job because when I applied for the job, I had packaged as if I had all of this, you know, experience and all that stuff.
Which is standard.
It's standard, you know. Hey, it's all about selling yourself during an interview, right? So I went in, and from the jump, I was hitting the ground running. I was pretty much quickly becoming like subject matter expert, especially on stuff with software. All right, because
So you were tech savvy.
as most of you guys know, accountants, we're not so tech savvy. You know, we're more like, you know, there's a process, and that's what we like to follow. But a lot of what we do uses software, and they updated a lot and all this and all that. So
You were the expert.
One thing I was trying to do, I was working with a bunch of folks that weren't so tech savvy, but we use a lot of tech. So I went in and I started learning the tech, started learning the processes and all that stuff, to where now when people have issues, they come calling me.
We make you
new guy.
We make you very valuable.
I'm the new guy.
Where's
you know?
Tosin at?
Yeah, they're like,
Tosin at?
any software stuff. They stopped calling the IT people. They were calling me because we
Just
were
send
sitting
Tosin an email.
in
Okay,
our
I
little
sit right
section
there.
area, right? So now this is an accounting firm. It's a regional, large, CPA firm here in downtown or uptown. And then 2009 rolls in. Everybody knows the Great Recession, you know, and so on and so forth. We're hearing the news of the layoffs, but hey, we busy, you know, like we still have work. All of a sudden, they call me in to that meeting. Now, a few things happened at that moment, right? They called me into the HR person's, the lady's office, and I'd never been into her office. So I was like, what is going on? Then once I walk in, I see the principal sitting right there also, who I work with primarily, also sitting right there. I'm like, okay.
Is he about to be promoted, or are you about to be fired?
The way they looked, I knew it wasn't a promotion.
Your spider sense start tingling.
Like once I walked in, like I didn't know why they called me, but once I walked in, I got the feeling. I was like, oh my goodness, what's going on? Right. I've only been on the job. I'm one of the new people here, you know, but what's going on? And then they're like, just like that. They just froze. And then they both started crying.
It was that dramatic.
Who's gonna help us with IT?
I was like, I'm sorry, I have to let you go. I'm like, should you be the one like emotional or me? I didn't even have time to be emotional.
The IT guy, bro. They knew they were next.
So, I mean, you know, after everything, you know, I was like, okay, we got to let you go. We're downsizing, a recession hit. There's a whole bunch of people that are going to get laid off. Unfortunately,
You're one of
you were caught up into that number because you're also one of the newer folks and all that stuff.
So what'd you learn from that?
so-
How do you handle it?
Well, I mean, so throughout the whole time, I've been trying to work on my CPA, right? I hadn't passed it, maybe because I didn't focus too much. I mean, I was studying.
You knew you had backup.
and taking the pass and taking the test, but I still had a job, you know, that paid me pretty well at that time. And I was like, okay, I mean,
You're a young buck.
yeah. So I was still trying my luck at the CPA exam. So, after I got laid off, the first things I did, because thankfully I was getting good pay. And I wasn't blowing it all. Right. Because I had a longer term, goal, but I was saving. So I was like, okay, you know what? This CPA exam thingy, you know, I don't want to get another job at the same level.
Yeah.
The next job I want to apply for something that is less competitive,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because if I applied with every other accountant, I mean, remember, this is a recession. I'm not the only accountant that
Yeah.
got laid off at this
Yeah.
point, right? It's millions of us, all right? You can travel and go to another state and work for another company. You know, accountants, you know, our skills cut across all different states. So you can be employed anywhere pretty much. And nowadays you can be employed remotely.
Exactly.
All right. So I'm like, wait, hold on one second. I don't want to jump back into the same pool. I want a smaller pool.
Right.
So therefore, let me take about, you know, we have 4 exams in the CPA, at least back then. I think still now, but you have 4 exams you've got to pass. All right. I'd passed one, but your credit for passing one only back then was like 12 months or something.
Yeah, 12 months. I remember because I took it.
All the exams.
Nowadays
like
is
that.
18 months or something like that.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
But what do you call it? So my 12 months was about to run out on the first one. So I started on the first day. I said, you know what? Just my job is going to be studying.
Yeah.
You know, so I was going to the library every day.
8 hours a day.
8 hours a day type thing, you know, and thanks be to God, I did lose that credit because it took some time. So I had to take it again, you know, ended up finally passing,
Yeah.
applied for the next job. It was pretty quick because I was assuming, you know, I didn't know I was, you know, jumping into a smaller
Yeah.
pool back then,
Yeah.
but upskilling myself allowed me to jump into a smaller pool where the demand is still there, but there are not that many people that have the qualifications compared to just people who
You
have
a CPA,
experience
man. You a
as
CPA.
an accountant.
Hey.
So that helped me get the next job.
How old were you? Like 14?
And I like the fact that you said that because the key thing here is that like nobody is layoff proof.
Yeah.
Right?
Unless you're the owner.
Even
the owner, actually.
Even the owner. But what I'm trying to say is that though we're saying that nobody's layoff proof, the goal is to make sure that you're adaptable.
Yeah.
You know, in whatever the situation is. And throughout the process of being adaptable, you have to continuously build relationships, continuously try and grow so that when the quote unquote layoff does happen, you can quickly recover. I remember for me, when I got laid off, one of the things that made me stand out was the fact that I went to go get my PMP. Now, I was also trying to get my PMP before I had that job, right? And so I think this it has like 150 or 200 questions, and I'm like, there is no way I'm going to pass this thing. Like because for me, when I look at tests, you know, the first thing I'm thinking about is, do you want the book answer or do you want how I would do it? Because I'm good at tests that has to do with, you know, reasoning, you know, but when it comes to like book answer, I'm like, I might not really agree with, you know, your take or whatever. So when that happened, I was like, okay, you know what? I really need to take this thing serious. And first time I failed, but the reason why I failed was because they was like, oh, I kept moving my eyes like this. Like, oh, like you're the, you know, the proctored
proctor,
exam.
yeah.
Like you can't,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
so I was like, all right, you know what? Now I know what to do.
They
So
said they disqualified you.
yeah, they
for that?
they
It was like,
disqualified.
we think you cheated.
No. So what happened was because I took it at home, but then the second time I had to go to, I took it at home. So I was doing this right, and then I took it around 5 a.m. Then my daughter came into the room, and I had to like, can you go? Daddy's taking a test.
Yeah.
And they thought maybe somebody was helping me. They're like, oh, sorry, shut down. So the second time I was like, you know what? I don't want no excuses. I'm going straight to the place
testing
so I
exam.
could be focused. And I was literally like this, you know. But the minute I took that test and I passed, and I also got my Scrum Master certification, it basically, you know, separated me from a whole lot of people and made it a lot.
Scrum Master.
You said what?
Scrum Master's hard.
Not really.
For a lot of people, it is. For you, is it?
Well, it made it easy for me to be able to recover. Why?
Yeah.
Because now only am I not able to talk about the experiences that I've had, but then I can back it up with some paperwork as well.
Yes, definitely. So there's some people that may still, like, let's say they have all of the different licenses already and they get laid off. What are some recommendations that you guys would give them?
He just gave you one. You just gave me.
No, I'm saying they have the certifications.
Oh, I see.
Because it's not because there are CPAs that are getting laid off. Let me be a bit more specific.
So to answer your question, you got to look at it in phases, right? Number one, look at the relationships that you have, right? What type of relationship do you have that can help you to take that next step, whatever that looks like? So when I say relationship, think about the people that you've built goodwill with, the people that you've done great job with, that you know for a fact are going to vouch for you, right? So think about that. Number two, reassess your skills to see, like, is my skill outdated or is it updated? If it's updated, then the question you want to ask yourself is, what is that competitive advantage that I'm going to have that is going to separate me from everybody else? Now, if the competitive advantage, because if everybody else has the paperwork, then your competitive advantage could be your social capital. It could be a location, right? Or it could be because you bring two different skill sets. Maybe there's a role that is a project management role, but they also want a scrum master and they want you to have some financial background. So your competitive advantage is the fact that maybe, you've been a financial analyst before, you have an accounting degree, you have a scrum master certification, but you also been a project manager. So you bring all these threes into play, right? So I think at the end of the day, you always have to look at it as, in the marketplace, what is going to separate one person from the rest is your competitive advantage. And that competitive advantage is what you have that other people don't easily have access to.
I think you said a lot.
This guy.
But a lot of good stuff. No, I agree. I just told myself, even before I was an owner, that in my head, even though I'm an associate, I'm not working for anyone. Like, I'm gonna be the best and have all the best skills to be an owner. So that way an owner will want to hire another owner, even though I'm an associate. So as an owner, you kind of have to know everything, be good at everything. You might not have to do it, but you have to be good at everything. So if it meant, like, if I have an office and someone gets stuck in extraction, guess what? I have to jump in or send them to another oral surgeon. So I needed to go to a residency that just provided me with enough exposure this is for healthcare specifically, to all the hard stuff. I went to Trauma 1 where I seen all trauma, everything. Surgery, then we also had orthodontics. I just wanted to come out to say there's nothing that I can't do within the scope of my field. And to the point, then that's when you leverage your relationships. When when I wanted to pivot, there's people on my phone that I'm like, they're like, hey, whatever you know up to? I was like, nothing. They're like, oh, how's it going? I was like, well, I left that. Oh, word? I have a position. I haven't really applied for anything. It's just been like, we know you're available. You're the best. And you don't even know how good you are until other people tell you, like, there's not many like you. But you wouldn't know that if you didn't push yourself to where, as far as like skill and knowledge wise, if you know and have done everything and you're at the peak, like there's literally not much to learn. Like anything new, anything to be learned in your field, you know it, and anything to learn just mean it came out today. At that point, it makes it easier. Your competition becomes so much smaller rather than you just being good enough. So I think that's my perspective on how I approach things.
And I think another advice, because I'm just trying to, remember like what happened. Because even though it's a business decision, it feels very personal.
Yes.
Because your pocket is impacted.
Of course.
Right?
Of course.
And the mindset that I want people to understand and have is that, it is a business decision, right? It could be because of timing. It could be because of restructuring. It could be because of cost. It could be anything, right? So don't be so hard on yourself from being laid off, right? That's number one. Number two, I will always say that be proactive. So in other words, even though you might not necessarily need another job, keep applying and just keep doing interviews. Why? Because you just never know where the opportunity
Bro,
might
you
be.
looking at my notes? So
Let me let you talk.
no, go ahead.
Because I remember, I've been in a situation where I'm like, oh, I'm good here. I'm just want to build my career. And then I realized, you know what? If I was being proactive and just interviewing for jobs, you know, like, do you know what it feels like to get a job offer and just decline it and just say, oh, nope, I'm not interested.
Know what your value in the market
Exactly.
is, or your worth.
It's a beautiful thing. I've never been in that position before getting fired. Now I constantly do it just to say, hey, why are you looking for this job? Hey, I'm just looking for the next opportunity. Yeah. Just for them to give you because companies waste your time all the time. You can waste their time, even though you know you're not interested in the job. That's just the reality. So always continue to.
But I get it. I get what you're saying.
Apply.
Research. It's research.
Even interview skill.
Yeah.
You know, you can train yourself.
Yes.
You know, because if you've gone 2, 3, 4 years and you haven't
know what they're looking for either.
Not even that. If you've gone 3, 4 years and you have an interview, even though you are good at your job, you can't really articulate that specific thing because you haven't been interviewing.
All right, he stole my notes, man. 'Cause that was my third thing, right? You know, you've got to learn how to sell yourself, right? Because sometimes you don't know how to do it just because you think you're good at this job. You know how to sell yourself to these folks that you see every day, that see your skill and the impact that you make, but you don't know how to articulate that to somebody who doesn't know you at all.
Exactly.
Right. So you've got to make sure you master that.
Yeah, for sure.
People get comfortable for sure.
Yeah.
In their position because it feels good, right? To know you're wanted. And it sucks to just feel like you're just kicked out. It feels like you were kicked out of your house and you're left in the cold to go find a new place to live, you know?
What about the person that keep getting a rejection every time? What should be the mindset or advice that you give?
Sometimes it might not be something it might be a timing of the economy and a lot of things, right? But sometimes I think every time you should take away from that. What are things that are telling you? Always ask for feedback on why you didn't.
No, a lot of times there's no reason.
I know. Sometimes there is. I'm saying, but ask feedback. Well, what could I have done to be selected for this? Or what could I have done different?
Bro, no, I disagree. It's a volume game. You know, so let me explain what I mean by it's a volume game.
He hasn't been looking recently. That's why.
Assuming that
on the person that got laid off.
Yes,
he's saying that to get a new job, it's a volume.
It
game.
is a volume game.
Yes.
But I always still ask if I go through all these interviews, why? Like, what do I do?
No, you're getting an auto reply. You're not getting a why. They're not to.
Well, you don't even get some auto replies. You might not even get a reply.
Second things. I'm talking about.
That's what I'm saying. The people that are getting
the next level.
Yeah.
I don't know. Y'all have to take that away.
The advice that I would give you is that make it a volume game. So if you're applying strategically for like 2, 3 roles,
you got to
you got to widen your scope.
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
because the goal isn't to get the perfect job. The goal is to get back on your feet before you can get the perfect job.
I didn't understand your question, but now I get it.
I would also say look at some of your local resources.
Yes.
Right? There are many resume writing, like free, what do you call it? Seminars or events that will help.
And AI.
You got the chambers as well.
Also, like interviewing, like there'll be some little events where people teach and critique your interview style and how you presented yourself, and so on and so forth. There are a few resources out there.
Right.
And if you do send us a message at support@gobeyondthegrind.com, we'll send you a few.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
For sure.
So let's wrap it up. We all learned, how to bounce back, what to do, how to handle being laid off or let go, how to go about looking for new jobs, how to not taking it personally and realize sometimes it is a business decision. It might be timing, economics, cost, a plethora of other reasons where you may just not have done anything to warrant that.
Yes.
Right? So, but the takeaway here is to definitely try to strive to be better regardless of that, even if you're in a comfortable position or you're in an uncomfortable position where you have the job still or you just got let go. And it's a volume game, like Kay said, that you need to just go ahead and hit as many as you can. Then you want to be the person selecting rather than only a small number. But until that, if you guys have any questions, like he said, hit us up at support at gobeyondthegrind.com. And, check us out, Go Beyond the Grind. Till next time, anything else you want to add?
Peace.
Peace.
To make strategic decisions and take calculated risks. We'll also talk about future-proofing your business so you can build a lasting legacy and true freedom. This isn't a one-sided conversation. We're all on this journey together to build a life and a business that works for you, so you don't miss any of our upcoming episodes. Let's